Today, we're diving into why too many options make us miserable and why it feels like picking the wrong cereal might ruin our life. Faced with infinite possibilities, we often find ourselves unable to act. Just like innocently wandering the cereal aisle at your local supermarket and finding yourself in front of an entire wall of options. Organic granola, protein-packed oats, then there's the one with the coked up tiger on the front and another with a deranged toucan. After reading more labels than a scientist examining food safety regulations, you eventually just go with the one you always get. But deep down, you can't help but think about what all the other cereals would be like. The infinite choices, rather than liberating you, leave you feeling like you're constantly missing out on something else. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. The infamous line that sounds like it could either be a deep philosophical insight or an angsty teenager experiencing their first bout of existential dread. The phrase captures the paralyzing effect of choice. When faced with infinite possibilities, we often find ourselves unable to act at all. In his 1844 book, The Concept of Anxiety, Kierkegaard argues that anxiety arises from the realization that we are free to shape our own lives. Imagine sitting in your room, thinking about all the things that you could do with your life, and yet somehow you do nothing. The sheer number of possibilities makes it difficult to commit to any one path, because the moment you do make a decision, you close off all other options. Just like when you decide to buy Cocoa Pops, you don't also buy whole grain oats. This becomes more obvious as we get older. Every path we take, every career move, relationship, or creative pursuit means there are paths we will never walk. We can't be everything. We can't do everything, and that can be terrifying. It's often easier to remain stuck in inaction, endlessly contemplating what you might do someday instead of committing to something today. This is the dizziness of freedom. But Kierkegaard goes even further. He argues that people escape this anxiety by imposing artificial restrictions on themselves. We create barriers to let us off the hook. I can't pursue my dream because I'm too old. I can't change careers because of my financial obligations. I can't leave this relationship because I'm afraid of being alone. I can't join a gym because I don't know which one is best. These justifications serve as a way to avoid making a real decision. We find ourselves back in that cereal aisle, now deliberately ignoring entire sections because we've decided 5 minutes ago that processed food is the devil. These limitations we create make our choices easier. They allow us to cling to the comforting illusion that we could have done something remarkable if only the circumstances had been different. This is why we often hear stories of people who dream of doing something great but never start. Because what if they tried and failed? What if they discovered that they weren't good enough? As long as the dream remains unrealized, it remains possible. But the moment you start, you risk proving yourself incapable. And so people stay paralyzed, choosing the safety of daydreams over the risk of reality. Kierkegaard's solution is what he calls the leap of faith. He insists that life is not a problem to be solved, but something to be experienced. At some point, you must take responsibility for your choices. As Kierkegaard writes, learning to know anxiety is an adventure which every person has to affront if they would not go to perdition, either by not having known anxiety or by succumbing to it. This means embracing uncertainty, going all in on something without the absolute certainty of success, which can be terrifying because it removes the safety of blaming external forces. If it fails, it's on us. But at the same time, this is what true freedom means, to take responsibility for our own life, rather than making excuses for passivity. To truly live, you must become your own master. You must impose your own limitations, not as an escape from responsibility, but as a way to give your life direction and meaning. For Kierkegaard, True freedom isn't about endless options. It's about choosing one thing and fully committing to it. This is the cost of subjectivity. To be a fully realized individual means to take responsibility for your own choices, rather than hiding behind external prohibitions. This is what Kierkegaard means by taking a leap of faith. Not blind optimism, but a conscious decision to embrace responsibility, to act without absolute certainty, and to impose on ourselves the ethical framework that gives life meaning. To dedicate ourselves fully to something is not to lose our freedom. It's to exercise the highest form of it. And in this sense, love is a leap of faith, a total commitment to something beyond ourselves, which paradoxically makes us feel more alive. The way to escape anxiety is not to avoid making choices, nor is it to endlessly fantasize about hypothetical futures, but to take a leap of faith, to commit, to choose, and to take full responsibility for your life. Because life isn't about staring endlessly at a wall of cereal options. It's about choosing a box, pouring yourself a bowl, and experiencing the taste for yourself. But what do you all think? Is the freedom to choose for ourselves the cause of our anxiety, or is this just another case of overthinking and navel-gazing? Let me know in the comments, and if you've ever had a full-on existential crisis in the cereal aisle, just know you are not alone. Please like and subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss a video. If you like this one, please consider sending it to a friend, and I'll see you in the next one.